Hello and welcome to this week's edition of the Retirement Compass, the show designed to bring you successfully to and through your retirement. I'm your host, Kristen Oakley, and joining me in the studio is the co-founder of Stonebridge Wealth Systems, Tim Kulhanek, and partner Jeremy Gove. We've got a great show for you today. The title of this episode is The Iron Curtain Around Your Assets. We're going to be talking all about estate planning. And here's the reality. Unfortunately, the majority of Americans have neglected this important piece of their financial plan. In fact, studies show that 2 out of every 3 American adults still don't have crucial estate planning documents in place. So if that's true of you or those you love, you're definitely not going to want to miss today's conversation. We've got you covered. We're going to walk you through exactly what you need to know and what you need to do and the resources available to help you. Tim, Jeremy, so good to be here with both of you this week. How are you?
Yeah, doing great. Pleasure to be back.
Good. Jeremy, you're doing well?
Doing well, yes.
Well, one of the things we wanted to kick off talking about, the reason we want to have this conversation is you're doing a lot of live events and workshops where this subject matter is really resonating with folks. Can you share a little bit about what you've been doing and the feedback that you're getting on this specific conversation?
Yeah, we do a lot of live events on taxes, estate planning, and different things, Social Security, but the estate planning workshops that we've been doing a lot of, it's been interesting because I've been seeing people that I wouldn't expect to see at an estate planning workshop. They're people that are close to my age, Kristen.
The big 5-0.
The young folks? The young folks.
Yes.
Thank you, Tim.
The young
Thank you.
I got
Yes.
it.
Yeah, so, but no, I think people are starting to realize estate planning is a big issue, and there's not a lot of education around it. And so I think that's why people are they want to go, they want to learn, pick up pieces of information now, so that when they're doing their own estate planning or helping their parents with their estate planning, they have the right stuff in place to make sure that everything works.
Well, it makes a lot of sense. And I would say, too, from my own experience as a financial educator, a lot of times there's a catalyst event that helps folks want to get their own estate planning affairs in order. And often it's when they've walked through the estate planning process or the lack of with their own parents, and they've been wading through a mess and a nightmare that's been dumped in their lap, and then therefore they're motivated to get their own stuff in gear, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
No, for sure. Well, it's interesting. So there's some statistics here. This was a recent report from the Harris poll that showed that baby boomers and the silent generation will pass nearly $124 trillion, yes, trillion with a T, dollars on to their younger generations, primarily Gen X and millennials. So there's this great wealth transfer that's happening. The problem comes when folks aren't prepared for either how to leave that smoothly or how to inherit that smoothly either. And I think, there's no question that in the whole world of financial planning, estate planning has been made out to be very complicated, right? Because it's filled with lawyers, it's filled with legalese. A lot of people don't understand this stuff. But the bigger issue, too, is, let's face it, we're talking about death, and that's often not a fun thing to think about. But we hope, and our encouragement for you is that you'll leave here today understanding 3 things. First of all, it doesn't have to be as complicated as you might think. Secondly, it is by far the most loving thing that you can ever do for those you leave behind, because when you're grieving, that's not the time on top of everything else that you want to have to wade through a nightmare and a mess that's been dumped in your lap. And third, and finally, you don't have to go it alone. We know that a lot of this might feel confusing or overwhelming or new to you. It's not new to Tim and Jeremy and the team of Stonebridge Wealth Systems. They've got your back, and they're here to help you navigate successfully through all these things. So no doubt this is such an important, conversation to have. Let's start with, what's the most common question or concern you're hearing from folks when they come in to meet with you, specifically regarding estate planning?
Well, a lot of times they haven't spent any time doing it. They haven't done anything with it.
They know they need to, right?
Yeah, and they're not even sure where to start. And so I think that's why people delay in doing it. And so oftentimes people wait until they're retired or, in their 70s, and then they start to think about, okay, I probably should get a will put in place, or I should probably get some of these things put in place. And so the concern that they have is, we have people coming in asking, do I need a trust? My kids are telling me I need a trust, but I don't think I do need a trust. I don't even know what a trust is. I don't know how it works. They don't either.
Right.
But they're telling me I need one. So I think that's one of the things that that's one of the primary concerns. But the reason that they're not getting this done, to kind of the point that you brought up earlier, is that nobody wants to think about dying. Nobody wants to think about our demise. But the love for our families is what encouraged us to go ahead and take those steps and get it done and put it in place. And at our workshops, we talk about, we put up some celebrities, and it's kind of like Celebrity Jeopardy, where their picture pops up and they'll yell out the name. And we have, I think there's 9 or 12 of them.
Jimi Hendrix, Aretha Franklin, Michael Jackson.
And the one thing that they didn't realize is none of them had any estate planning done.
Right.
And so we often talk about leaving a legacy or leaving a mess. And that's how we start that workshop, just to kind of give people an idea of, I have a choice, and if I don't do anything, I'm giving my choice up to someone else, and I'm leaving a mess. And so, those are the things that I think people are concerned about when they come in. Where do I even start?
Even the young people.
Sure. Yeah.
Like Jeremy.
And I think the other, like Jeremy, the other misconception is, I don't have enough, or I'm not wealthy enough to have an estate plan, right? But all of us here at this desk know and understand it doesn't matter how much you have. I've heard it said, this is a good way to think of it. If you love someone and you have something, you need to have an estate plan in place. And this is the key, right? And so there's so many things that an estate plan can do for someone. Why are you so passionate about helping folks understand that everyone does need an estate plan? What are some of the other benefits besides just not leaving a mess?
Yeah, I mean, I would even take it a step further, is even if you don't have anything, you have to know who's going to be responsible for me. What if I couldn't get out of bed tomorrow? Not that I don't wake up. But what if I couldn't get out of bed tomorrow? I'm incapacitated. Who's going to help me pay my bills? Who am I going to trust to manage my finances? Whether it's a Social Security check or a multi-million-dollar investment portfolio. Who's going to make healthcare decisions for me? So maintaining control is paramount. And you can do that. You have choice, control.
Right.
Documenting your intentions. So a will, I kind of give the analogy that's kind of like if you're looking for directions and you find a road sign, it says, Kearney's however many miles this way. A will is going to point your personal representative or executor, what we've historically called them, to who gets what, essentially, right? So giving those directions so they're not having to go to a court to try to figure out who gets what, and there can be a lot of drama over that. Tax advantages. Now I'm working on one right now, so I'll just give this example. And if we need to come back to this later, we can. But we've got a client who I've just been emailing with literally today. And on the email chain is the client, his CPA, and myself. Now, it's kind of convenient. He works with the same CPA that I do, so I've got a relationship with him. But essentially what happened is his wife's mother passed away, okay? And she had an estate worth, let's just say it was over $1 million. And there's 4 beneficiaries. But a lot of times what happens is people will go to the attorney's office, and I'm not dogging on attorneys, to our attorney friends out there, and they'll set up a trust. Well, my mom and dad had a trust, so I want a trust. Because I heard trusts are good, And then the next question they ask you, Jeremy, is, well, how much money does that trust account make? Well, the trust is a type of account. It's not an investment,
Right.
Just like they say the same thing with a Roth. Well, what does a Roth make? So there's a lot of confusion. Well, what they did is essentially they set up this trust, but then they designated beneficiaries on all of her accounts, including her IRAs, to funnel to the trust.
Right.
And the letter he just sent me was a letter from Schwab, which is where her accounts were at, saying, hey, this is just to notify you that these accounts have been sent to this trust account. So this is getting in the weeds already, but let's assume she had 2 different IRAs worth $500,000. And then she had a trust account that's just an after-tax account. So if you think back to our past shows, we've got the 3 buckets: taxable, tax-deferred, tax-free.
Right.
She had the taxable bucket, that's her trust account. She had the tax-deferred bucket, that's her IRAs. And basically what they did, it appears, is they designated on the IRA beneficiary designation form the trust as the beneficiary, and the trustee saw that. Again, who do most people name as their trustees?
Usually
somebody that doesn't know what they're doing, but usually a child.
So they're kids?
They're kids.
Let's just be honest about it. They're kids.
Right.
And they don't know what they're doing. So what they do is they say, oh, well, it's got to go to the trust. So the letter was informing the beneficiaries that, hey, we've sent this money from the IRA over to the trust. That's great, right? That's what we wanted. Is that what we wanted?
No.
Why didn't we want that?
It's now taxed.
There's going to be a 1099.
Right.
Now, this was only, just for full disclosure, it was only for a portion of the IRA. But
still.
What I told him, like, well, what if the rest of it, the same thing happens? If there's $500,000 that gets pushed over to that trust account. Can you do a 60-day indirect rollover as a beneficiary, Jeremy, and put that money back in an IRA?
I don't believe so.
No, you cannot.
Right.
It's what we call a fatal error. So like we see it all the time. I can't overemphasize this.
Yep.
You need to have an estate plan, but you don't need, like, use the Gary Stickney KISS principle. Keep it simple, stupid. That's what he used to say to me. I'm not calling anybody stupid. I'm saying that's what he said to me.
Right.
Maybe I should have thought something about that. But like, there's no need to overcomplicate it, just like Jeremy said.
For sure. Well, one of the things I want to clarify as we continue this conversation is that you yourselves are not estate attorneys,
Sure.
right? But you understand that as fiduciary financial planners and financial advisors, estate planning is part of what a comprehensive holistic financial plan, like it needs to be there, right? And so I know that you partner with estate attorneys in this area who can help your clients. So explain a little bit about that relationship and how you are going to be able to help our viewers with their estate planning needs.
Yeah, so we do, like Tim mentioned, he's working with a CPA right now, but we work with CPAs and attorneys all the time on these topics. We do a lot of workshops, like we mentioned, and we have attorneys that actually come and present at those to present the legal side of trusts and estates. And one of the things that almost every attorney will ask a client that they're working with is, do you have a financial plan? Because the job of the financial plan is to have everything organized and know where everything is at.
Right.
So a lot of times I'll say, well, I have my investments, I have my statements. Well, that's not really a full financial plan. So they'll ask, do you have a financial plan? So the attorneys that we work with, they'll tell us, okay, I need you to start with Jeremy, get your financial plan put in place. Let's go through all of the components of that, the income plan, the tax plan, the healthcare plan, the legacy planning, and all of those components. So that's all organized and we have that in place. Now I can go back and decide, what instruments do you need? Do we need a trust? Do we need a will? Do we need multiple things going on? That's all put in place after the financial plan's put in place.
Right. And so again, the first step is really having that financial plan. And there's so much that goes into that. Remind our viewers how they can connect with you and start that process today.
Yeah, it's really simple. We make it painless. You can call the number on the bottom of your screen. At the end of the day, you want a trusted ally in your corner. You want somebody who can be your personal CFO. Like, you're the CEO. We're not taking over your job. You're still in control. You still call the shots. Let us be sitting in that seat below underneath you, that personal CFO, where we're going to be in charge of handling the day-to-day grind of insurance, investments, working with the CPA and the attorney, your financial quarterback, if you will, and you can focus on the things that you actually want to focus on during a comfortable, enjoyable retirement. It starts with a phone call at the bottom of your screen.
Wonderful. Tim, Jeremy, thank you so much. That number to call is 866-256-7778. Again, this is for no cost, no charge, no obligation. It's simply an invitation to have a conversation to see how the team of Stonebridge Wealth Systems can help and serve you. Or if you'd rather connect online, simply scan that QR code and that will get you connected as well. Don't go anywhere. When we come back, we're going to walk you through the basics of estate administration, helping you understand how this estate planning stuff works at a high level and what it means for you right after this.
I wanted to take a quick minute to talk about something we don't often bring up in financial conversations, but probably should. Estate planning. Not just the legal paperwork, but the clarity your family might need if something unexpected happened. Here's the truth. Most families have some of their planning done, but not all. And often the hard part isn't the money, it's the confusion, the decisions, and the pressure that falls on people left behind. That's why we created something to help. It's called the Legacy Quiz. And in just a few minutes, it can give you a sense of where you stand, what areas might need attention. It's quick, it's easy, and you can take it right now at stonebridgelegacy.net. Let's help make sure your plan isn't just in place, it's actually usable when it matters most.
Have you ever considered refinancing your retirement? When interest rates are low, you might be able to refinance your home, your car, and even your credit card rates, because it could help keep more of your money each month. Yet when interest rates go up, it may make sense to refinance your retirement. Higher interest rates could provide income opportunities that you may not be aware of. What works for your portfolio during low interest rates may not work for you when interest rates are high. Find out if a retirement refi could work better for you. Give us a call today and schedule a complimentary Refi Your Retirement review.
Welcome back to the Retirement Compass. I'm Kristen Oakley here with both Tim and Jeremy from Stonebridge Wealth Systems, and we are so glad that you're joining us today. If you're just tuning in, we are having a very important conversation all about estate planning. And again, we know that this often isn't the most fun thing to think about. One, God forbid, does cover the entire conversation, but here's the reality, as one of my aging friends loves to remind me, guys, none of us are getting out of this thing called life alive. And there's no such thing as a U-Haul attached to a hearse. So we gotta have a plan in place for our stuff, and also a plan in place if, heaven forbid, something happens unexpectedly, an accident, you become incapacitated, as you said, right?
Sure.
This all is encompassed in this important conversation. So even though estate planning has been made out to be really complicated, it really just boils down to 3 key words. And Tim, what are those 3 key words?
Yeah, it's just who gets what. We really want to know the stuff I've got, where is it going? And the reason why we have to have these written documents. So we talk about the attorneys, and I said, I'm not dogging on them. They're a very important piece of this team. Why do we need to have those documents? So we can avoid 3 other words that you really, really don't want to hear when an estate planning situation is taking place, and that is, they got what? Because that does happen. Just the other day, I was looking at the tax return of some folks that had come in from the show. They'd heard us, they'd see this on the TV. And I was looking at their tax return. And one of the reasons why I tell people that if you come to my office without your tax return, it's like going to the dentist without your teeth. Like, I need to see your tax return because it tells such a deeper story than what just a conversation can do. And it does it really quickly.
Well, it helps you do your job well to the best of your ability, giving the best advice possible for them, right?
Exactly. But I saw something on there that I thought that stood out. I said, there's a legal and professional services on your tax return here, a line item for $60,000. What is that? Yeah, it had to do with an inheritance situation. I'm telling you guys, we see it all the time. It happens all the time, especially in Nebraska. There's a dispute, and it's they got what, and it's attorneys, and when you litigate over principle, there's only one party that wins, it's the attorneys.
Right, exactly. So really important to get in front of this stuff before those days come. So Jeremy, walk us through, what's the first step in helping someone devise the right estate plan for them? Because we have to help our viewers understand this whole process of estate administration, right?
Yeah, so we have a slide we'll pull up, and we can just kind of walk through it. So the simple thing, we'll call our stuff. We could call it assets, we can call it whatever, but it's stuff for our slide. So anything that's jointly owned, that's going to flow through because it's going to go to your joint owner. Accounts where you name beneficiaries, that money, those assets are going to go to the beneficiary.
So whoever's name is listed on the account as the joint owner, whoever's name is listed as the beneficiary, that's who's going to get that category of stuff.
Yep, so that stuff is going to go to them. Now, you can see on the bottom of the slide, that goes directly to them. It's called the operation of law. You've named beneficiaries. You have said on that document where you want those assets to go. And that's why we talk about beneficiaries being so important, because if you name a wife or a spouse that you were married to, you're now divorced, you don't want any assets to go to that person.
Right.
You want it to go to your children, you need to update your beneficiaries.
For sure. I was going to say, because the will doesn't apply to this category of stuff here on the left-hand side of this chart. Whoever's named as the joint owner or the beneficiary, that's who's going to get that stuff.
Exactly. We haven't even talked about a will yet. This is just stuff where you either co-own it or you've named beneficiaries.
Yep.
Yeah.
So homes, cars, life insurance policies, annuities, IRAs, things of that nature, right?
Yeah. So those, and the nice thing about naming beneficiaries, they get access to those assets right away.
Right.
We don't have to go through a court system. We don't have to go through any of that. It's once you name them, that's where it goes.
Yep. So then everything else that you own is the second category here on the right-hand side. What happens with all the other stuff?
Yeah. So now we're going to talk about a will or other types of documents. So all your other assets that you have, that's going to go through probate. Typically a probate fee, it's expensive. There's time delays. I think the average probate in Nebraska is around 18 months.
Wow,
probably.
A year and a half.
So it could be 2 years, but it's at least 18 months. Unless it's a smaller state, maybe things could go a little faster, but there's a system in place because you got to make sure that your creditors know you passed away. So anybody that you owe money to, so that's why it takes longer.
Yeah.
And so it's a drawn out process. Attorneys get paid the legal fees. Probate, that's part of that. And then the biggest thing is, if you're a private person, this is something that I always stress to our clients. If I don't really want everybody to know what I have, the last thing I want is my estate to go through probate.
Yes.
Because it's a very public thing, and it's in the newspapers, and it's going to be, anybody can go and search that and look it up.
Right. So again, this is why it's so important to have a plan in place. And we're going to talk about in the third segment how to avoid the probate process. But real quick, as we wrap up this segment, let's talk about what happens when folks die without a will. Because as you said, that celebrity jeopardy that you often throw up on your screens when you're doing these live workshops, so many celebrities have died without a will. It's a complete mess. So explain what happens, especially here in the state of Nebraska.
Thank you for bringing that up, because it does depend on your jurisdiction. And so the state of Nebraska, the legislature's passed laws that dictate what's going to happen to your stuff if you die without a will. We call that dying intestate, and there's the state intestacy laws. And it's shocking. So you can go to the legislature's website and find this information. But essentially, I'll just give you a quick example, and it'll be very clear why you want to avoid this. If, let's say that you're married, but you don't have any children, and your parents are still living, and you pass away without a will. Again, like Jeremy said, the stuff that was on the left-hand side of that chart, that's not going to go through intestacy laws because that has direct named beneficiaries, so that's by operational law. That other stuff that would be probatable, it's going to go through the state intestacy laws that are going to decide that basically you get the state's will. And so in that scenario I laid out, if you die, your spouse would get the first $100,000 of probatable assets, and everything else she's going to split 50-50 with your living parents. That's probably not what you had intended. So if you want to help avoid or put yourself in a position to avoid some of those unexpecteds, to avoid those they got what situations, that'd be a reason why you'd want a team like ours and one of our experienced advisors on your side. You can get the first step towards having that more comprehensive solution by calling the number right there on your screen.
Wonderful. Tim, Jeremy, thank you so much. That number to call is 866-256-7778. You can start your process by receiving your very own complimentary written financial review. Or again, if you'd rather connect online, simply scan that QR code and that will get you connected as well. Stay with us. When we come back, we're going to be sharing with you some of the key ways that you can avoid going through the probate process. Stay with us to find out how right after this.
Let me ask you something. If anything happened to you tomorrow, would your family know what to do? Would they know where your documents are, who to call, what your wishes are? I've worked with a lot of families, and I've seen what happens when that clarity is missing. It's not the money that causes pain, it's the guessing. That's why we put together something called the Legacy Quiz. It covers the key areas most families overlook, from wills to powers of attorney to digital accounts and where important documents are stored. It's quick, free, and surprisingly eye-opening. You can take the quiz now at stonebridgelegacy.net. It's a small step that can help your family avoid some very big problems.
If you own an annuity or are thinking about one, you've probably heard a lot of conflicting information. The truth? There are many types of annuities, and each is designed to solve different problems. Some provide guaranteed income, others protect against market losses. But not every annuity is created equal. If you're unsure whether your annuity is doing its job, it may be time for a second opinion. Refinance your annuity today with a complimentary annuity review.
Welcome back to the Retirement Compass, where today we've been having an in-depth conversation on what needs to be a part of your estate plan as part of a comprehensive, holistic financial plan for yourself and for your retirement. We mentioned earlier the problems with probate, and you did such a good job of outlining this, guys. It's expensive, it has significant time delays, it's a matter of public inspection. So clearly a lot of folks want to avoid going through the probate process. What's one of the #1 tools and ways that you help your clients make sure that they don't have to be drugged through the probate court system?
Well, I'd stress that we obviously use their attorney to come up with the exact plan for that, but think of it as a box. So the revocable living trust is something that we use a lot. The analogy that one of the attorneys that we work with a lot used, and I thought it was a really good one, think of it as a bucket. We can put stuff in while we're still alive, we can put stuff in, we can take stuff out.
Because we can change our mind because it's
revocable. We
revocable.
can change our mind, it's
right?
revocable,
Yep.
as long as the revocable is in there. So, and then I can say, I want this asset to go to this person, I want this asset to go to that person, but it can all go into the bucket, right? I can name it that way. And so that's one of the things that we use a lot. But you still have control So a lot of people, when they think of revocable living trust or trust, they don't have to pay estate taxes, or there's ways around paying taxes. That's not the point of it. It's maintaining the control and distributing the assets where you want them to go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's a very helpful thing to have in place. Obviously, it's not applicable to everyone, but that is, a huge thing for each situation to look at. What are some of the other things? I know we only have a couple minutes left, but there's so many other key documents I find that are often missing from someone's estate plan. So what are some of those key documents that folks need to make sure they have as part of their estate plan?
Yeah, a brief checklist would be medical directive. So think of like your POA documents are really critical. So power of attorney.
Yep.
So that's a principal agent type of relationship. You might call it attorney in fact. There's so many like synonymous types of nomenclature that we could use. But healthcare power of attorney, that's going to be basically a document that names someone to make healthcare decisions on your behalf. You can have your general durable financial power of attorney, same thing, except for dealing with your retirement accounts and your banking matters. Mm-hmm. Medical directive is actually, it's more like end of life type stuff. Mm-hmm. So there's a difference between a medical directive and like a DNR, do not resuscitate. The DNR has to actually be issued by signed by a doctor, a physician, whereas a medical directive is, hey, if I'm in a vegetative state and I'm not going to be resuscitated, don't, prolong life for any reason. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, like all this comes down to, I know I need a lot of stuff, but there's really 3 ways you can go about doing it. One, you can keep going the way you're going and kind of just say, well, my kids will have to deal with it. And like you can do that, but that's leaving a mess. That's not really very nice,
Right.
And most people who have been through that, where there wasn't urgency and things didn't get taken care of, they're like, I would never want to leave this. And people say that in our workshops. I'll never do this. I'm going to make sure that's why the younger folks are coming in. Mm-hmm. 2 is you could do it yourself, right? You could figure it out all on your own, what you need. Do I need a trust? Do I need a will? POAs. Number 3 is you can find a team that's landed the plane before, that's done this for hundreds of other people here in the state of Nebraska and across the country. We've done that. We'd love to be your team as well. We'd love to meet you. We're looking forward to talking to you soon. Give us a call at the number at the bottom of your screen, and we'll see you soon.
Wonderful. Tim, Jeremy, I'm so excited for how many more people you're going to be able to help as a result of today's conversation. So thank you so much. Again, that number to call is 866-256-7778. You don't have to go it alone. The team of Stonebridge Wealth Systems is here for you. Get it done today. We'll see you next time here on the Retirement Compass.